Okay, so as I stated in the previous video, we're now going to type those programs we traced in and check that they actually work as intended. So what I need you to do is go onto your computer, open up a new Python file, make sure that it's not the shell, but that you actually have a new file open. You do File, Save As, and then on your computer, what you need to do is you need to go into your computer science folder, make a Unit 4 folder, and make an in-class project folder to save this into. So you want to have it nice and organized so you can find it later. This one you can name Unit 4 Lesson 1 While Loops Day 1. That's pretty much all we're going to be doing. Just looking at while loops and seeing how they run through our program in Python. So once you've got that all set up, you can save it, and then I would just put a comment at the top, Unit 4 Lesson 1 While Loops Day 1. So we're just going to do the first two. So this is going to be example 1 that we traced through. So remember this one, we had j that was starting at 0. So we did j equals 0 and sum equals 0. So those were the first two variables that example 1 had. Those just have a variable for our while loop, and then we're going to accumulate the sum between 1 and 5. So here we have while j is less than or equal to 5, colons. Notice how the while turns orange just like the if did. The colon ends the Boolean statement. And then here is our Boolean statement. This needs to be something that evaluates to be true or false. And then what you'll notice here, just like the if, is when you press enter, it'll automatically indent in because it assumes that you are going to type something that you want looped. So here's where we'll type sum equals sum plus j. So it's going to add j, whatever it is, onto the sum. So it's going to add 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we're going to do j equals j plus 1. So we're adding 1 to j every time, and eventually it will pop out of that loop. Now at the end, we're going to indent back. Then we'll do print, and I'm going to do j equals j, and then we'll do a equals, comma, and we'll print the j value. There we go. And then we'll do print, and we will do the sum equals, and we'll print the sum value. So we're going to run through, we're going to see how this all prints to the screen and if our tracing was in fact correct. So if I run my module, you see that j equals 6, which tells us that j looped 1 through 5, and that it was the value of 6, because j was 6, that made this statement here false. That pops it out of the loop. So you can see j actually goes to 6, and that's what causes that loop to no longer run. And then we have our sum is equal to 15. So example 1 works just as we expected. Now go down and we're going to type in example 2. Now, what I would do to make your code a little bit easier to read is I would put a print statement in here that is just nothing, and that's going to put an extra line into your program between everything else. Example 2, we had I starting at 70. We had sum was starting at 0. And then we had while I is greater than 0, a colon. So again, this one set up the same way, just a different condition, a different variable. What we're going to do here is we're going to add I to our sum. So we're going to go 70, 60, 50, 40, 30, 20, 10. We're then going to change I to be I minus 10. So we're going to subtract 10 from whatever I is. We're also, in between those steps, going to print I the screen. That's what our loop is going to do. And from here, what we're going to do after that loop runs is we're going to print I to the screen one more time. We're going to say I equals, we're going to make it different. So at the very end, we can see what I equals at the end. And we're going to do print sum equals and print our sum. So notice I have example 1, example 2. We run it. It's taken a little while, but you can see how this one runs a little bit differently. So here you can see how it does the first thing to start. We get that empty line here. And then we get 70, 60, 50, 40, 30, 20, 10. I equals 0 is what pops it out of this loop, and our sum at the end is 280. Okay, so now we're going to go to example 3. which was our infinite loop. Now this one we're going to probably have to run and then comment out because it's really going to run infinitely. So here we had x equals 1, sum equals 0. And then we had our while loop, which was while x is less than 10. And then we had sum equals sum plus x, print x. And when that loop ends, we wanted it to print sum equals and print the sum to the screen. Now remember, this is our infinite loop, so we're expecting it to just keep running like crazy, which is exactly what it's doing. You can even see this little scroller over here is getting smaller and smaller because our computer is really just printing 1 to the screen many, 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 many times. Now, if you really want to see that change, what you can do is you can print this sum to the screen instead. And then if you run it, you'll see the numbers actually increase. Now you'll notice it's a little slower to run, and that's because this really is looping a bunch of times. And it's getting mad at me now because it's running so intensely. So we'll try it one more time. If it's not running, we'll just move on to the next one. There it goes. So now you can see how the numbers are increasing incredibly fast. And this is due to the fact that we have our infinite loop. So that's what's going to happen if you have an infinite loop. It's going to keep going. You're not going to be able to stop it. The only way to stop it is to press X, and it'll ask you if you want to kill it. You say OK. Now, in order to do this fourth example, I do need to put a multi-line comment in here because this loop is never going to end. And I'm also going to put just a blank print statement in here so I can see the difference between this and example 2. So last one we're going to do is example 4. And this one was our never running loop. So this is the one that never went inside. So here when we ran this one, we had y is equal to 1, sum is equal to 0. Then we did while y is greater than 10. So there's our condition. Sum equals sum plus y. Print y to the screen. And then we wanted it to print sum equals and print our sum just like our other programs. So this one, if we run it, what you will notice is that it just prints sum equals 0, just like we predicted, because it never goes inside of this loop. Since y is never greater than 10, it never runs. It just skips over that code as if it's a comment in there. So hopefully just seeing these in action has helped you to understand your loops a little bit better, and you'll have something to then reference as you get to your own exercises in the future.